Hello, it's Claire and I'm here to give you a little Christmas present. It's Christmas and I have my little tree up. I've got a Christmas present for you today. I am going to go through some of the real basics because I know what I've been doing so far has been quite geared around people who already do ballet, who already know a little bit and they're aiming to fine tune their dancing. But I know there are loads of people out there who actually have never done ballet before and are thinking, could that actually be quite a fun way of increasing my core strength? Could it be a fun way to improve my mobility, to help me keep fit in a way that's enjoyable, maybe not as high impact as a hardcore aerobics routine, or maybe not quite as hardcore as weightlifting, but it still has a really, really valid space in keeping myself healthy and happy and fit. So I thought I'd go through some of the real basics. So I've moved my camera down so that you can see my legs a little better. I'm going to go through the basic positions of the legs. It's really important that you understand which is which, and I think that needs its own little section before we get cracking onto anything else. So first of all, parallel, as I've mentioned already, is where your legs are facing forwards. And when you turn your legs out, again, please, 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 only turn them, do it with straight legs, and do it from the top of the leg, and only turn it as far as your leg will go in your hip socket. Don't try and make it any further. I'm so sorry if you can hear that meowing, it's my cat. Anyway, so that's first position with your heels touching and your toes facing out and your knees facing out, probably to the corners of the room. Don't try and go for sides of the room, because not many people can do that with their hip mobility. And even if you can, if you've got amazingly mobile hips, you also need the muscle strength and precision in order to balance in that position. It's quite hard to balance there. You can find yourself like that. So don't try and overturn out. Literally legs straight, put your weight on your heels for this bit, engage your core, use those muscles, then do a tiny rise to make sure your weight is on your balls of your feet, not sat back on your heels. Okay, that is your first position. Second position is literally about one of your feet between your feet, if you see what I mean. It's legs apart, kind of heels under your hip joints here, yes? You want it wide enough so that when you do a plie, you can actually do a nice, decent plie, yes? Or when you bend your knees rather, you can do a nice, good bend of the knees without feeling the need to lift your heels. Everyone's different. If your bend is that's absolutely fine. Just go as far as you can go. Don't try and push it. Definitely don't go in order to get that, feel like you're going down further. Okay, so that's second position. Third position, get into first, and then bring one leg slightly in front of the other. My heel is pretty much touching the elastic of my back foot, okay, of my back ballet shoe. Or if you there's a little tiny bone here on your instep of your foot, it's kind of touching that bone. That's third position. Again, all turned out in the tops of my legs, keeping my hips facing front. Fourth position. There are two versions of fourth. One is fourth opposite first, which is quite good for beginners. To be honest, actually, fourth we don't really do for beginners. We tend to do first, second, and third for beginners, but I'm letting you know which ones there are. And then you've got another fourth, which is opposite fifth, which is a little bit more cross, a little bit harder to maintain, and also harder to keep those hips square. You have to really work these hips to keep those hips nice and square to the front. And then you've got fifth position. Now I teach RAD ballet, as I've mentioned, which is Royal Academy of Dance, and we do have the back toe just sticking out from behind your heel. In other systems, certainly Vaganova, Russian, did that at college, and it was like we had to have our feet properly crossed over with no toes visible. So there are slightly different variations. Again, for beginners, fifth position, not yet. Fourth position, don't need that. Third, second, and first, or first, second, and third are the ones to use. There you go. Now let's talk about the actual exercises you might be doing. And what I will do is I will actually mark out the time. So if you look in the comment below, then you'll be able to see if there's a specific exercise you're thinking, how do you do that one? You'll see the exercise. So I'm going to literally start from the beginning of the class. I normally do like a bit of a cardio warm-up, something that's going to get your heart going to make you feel a little bit warmer than you were 5 minutes ago. So even just brisk walking around the room or a little jog on the spot, making sure you keep your knees nice and soft so you're not jamming your knees, jamming your joints, Obviously, with everything I teach, do make sure you work within your limitations, and that you do, if you've got any medical issues, that you do make sure you see a doctor before you undertake any new exercise. So what we're going to talk about, so assuming we've done our little brisk walking around the room for 5 minutes and little jog, maybe just put on a record. So I've got a really itchy nose. Maybe just put on a record and have a little dance for 5 minutes. Yes, just to get your blood flow going, get your joints a little bit lubricated so you're not going from stone cold standing there to moving. Okay, so with ballet, the first thing you have to think about is posture. You see ballerinas walk down around the room, they're all like, oh yes, I'm super poised. And they've got their shoulders open, they've got their core held, and often they're already turned out as well. You don't have to walk around like that, but it's really good to get that posture working for you. So I'm going to move away a little bit. So basically, from head to toe, you want to imagine you've got a piece of string going out to the top of your head, pulling you up, and you're just literally hanging from that point in an absolute lovely straight line. Okay, so we call it working to your plumb line. So imagine you've got a plumb line running through your body. So it's literally absolutely vertical. So your ears are over your shoulders are over your hips are over your knees, and your knees are over the balls of your feet. So you're not sitting back on your heels, you're kind of poised, ready to move in any direction. And I start with my legs parallel, my knees facing forward. That's an expression we use, parallel, for when your toes and your knees are facing forward. And turned out is when you actually engage the joints, the muscles around your hip sockets, so the top of your legs, not your hip bones up here, this joint here. And then you use these muscles, you've got little collection muscles at the back here, the bottom of your bottom basically, and you use those muscles to turn your thighs out, and then your knees will naturally turn out. And if you've kept your legs straight, your toes will turn out as well. So basically your whole leg is turned out. So when you bend your knees will go over the middle of your foot, over your toes, over your middle toe. Okay, that's strictly how it needs to be, so that you don't twist your knees or twist your ankles or roll forward. With ballet, there's been a few issues where people are like, oh, I can't do ballet, it hurts my back, or I can't do ballet, it hurts my knees. Sometimes if you try to over push something and you're not looking in the right place for that element, for example, turnout, most people see the feet point straight out to the sides, so they try to emulate that. Most people can't stand like that. Most people can't do that from the hips, so they also turn out a bit from their knees, and you might find that actually rolling forwards over their insteps, so that then they're pronating, as we call it, over their feet, so they can incur injury in their knees and their feet as a result. Also, people maybe try to over push their extensions, which can cause back injuries. So to help you with the back, so first of all, we thought about our turnout, but also actually before that, we need to think about engaging our core. So imagine pulling your belly button in towards your lower back. Okay, this isn't about pulling your tummy in and getting rid of your tummy. It's about engaging that core so that your hips are no longer tipped forward. So your hips are what we call neutral. Imagine they're a bucket of water, full to the brim, so it has to be neutral. If you let it tip forward, the water's going to fall out that way. If you do the opposite and tuck under, equally, the water's going to fall out that way. So engage that core, that belly button, and then engage these muscles to turn your legs out. Then, if this is all beautifully poised and you're imagining lengthening through your spine, and you've got your shoulders open, so you're rotating your shoulder blades open, if you relax your arms in a bit of a curved sort of shape, then you get what we call bras barre or fifth en barre. They're all different names for the different positions, okay? So this part of your body is working quite hard, but then your arms are actually quite relaxed and soft. They're slightly sort of floating with a little bit of a gap between your body and your arms, okay? And your eye line is out to the horizon. That's how you stand. But obviously dancing is not a static thing. So the first exercise you're likely to do is called a plie. Plie basically means to bend. Everything's in French because that's where ballet originated, okay? So plie means to bend. So basically all this is beautifully placed, your weight's on the balls of your knees, and you bend your knees. And because my legs are turned out from the top of the legs, my knees go over my toes and I make a lovely diamond shape with my legs, okay? So that's a plie, but it's not just a down and up. Basically, it has to have a bit of elasticity with it. So imagine you're resisting, imagine you've got a big rubber band around your legs, so you're pushing against it as you bend, then imagine a ball between your knees and you're slightly squishing that ball as you come up. So you get that kind of rebound, yes? You're working both muscle groups as you do that plie. And that allows you to do everything in dance. If you try and walk around the room without bending your knees, yeah, you're pretty scuppered, okay? So that's a plie. And that can be done in, this is called first position, this is called second position, so it can be done in any of these positions. These are what we call demi-pliés at the moment, yeah? It can be done if you put one leg in front slightly, that's third position, so my heel is opposite my instep. And it can be done in fourth position, and also fifth position, which is a little bit more cross. And again, fifth position can vary from different systems. They're all just different ways of teaching the same thing. Then we have a tendu. At the moment, we won't do grand pliés because if you're a beginner, you won't be doing grand pliés just yet. But grand pliés is where you go a little bit deeper and you allow your heels in the closed position to peel off slightly. Don't worry about that just yet. Just stick with the demi-plié for now. So the next exercise we would do at the bar would be our tendus. So tendu means to stretch. So basically you're stretching your leg right down to the tip of your toe. Now, keep your legs straight the whole time. That's the tricky bit. And what you're going to do is very gently, you stay nice and upright. This leg's working super hard as well. And you stretch and pushing that ball of your foot down into the floor, and then ping, you point your toe, and then you bring it back in. Bend the toes, keep that ankle stretched, and then slide that foot back in without bending your knee. Okay, so you have to kind of go, think of lifting up. I know you can't actually lift your body up, but if you imagine being super long and tall, you can bring that leg under you without bending your knee, because your legs are both pretty much the same height, so they shouldn't need to bend to come back in. So that is a tendu. That's a tendu to second, which is obviously this position, but you can do from third, you can do a tendu to the front. So it goes ankle, then the toe, keep that ankle stretched as you bend that toe, and then slide it back in. And it should go straight in front of your belly button, okay? When you go to the second, it depends on your turnout. I teach RAD ballet, which is the Royal Academy of Dance Ballet, so there will be slight variations on this. But the RAD, they teach that you keep your hips beautifully square and you go according to the turnout in your hip socket, your personal turnout. So you go towards where your toe is pointing, okay? Not necessarily directly to the side, unless your toe happens to be pointing directly to the side and you've got 180-degree turnout, okay? So that's a tendu. So then we have glissé, which is like a tendu, but it goes slightly off the floor, okay? So again, you're pressing down into the floor, and literally you ping off the floor about 2 centimetres. It goes and the accent is usually in. So it goes and in, and in, and in. Yeah, and you can do both legs. In, and in, and in. Okay, so we've done pliés, tendus, glissés. The next step would be battement fondus. Okay, so that would probably start from third or fifth. If you're a beginner, start from third. It literally means you have one heel slightly in front of the other, so your heel of your front foot is on your instep. And as you bend your knees, you peel that front foot to just lift the toe just by the ankle, and then you stretch both legs together and then close it. Or you can leave it extended and then just come back into that coup. This is called coup de pied, which means neck of your ankle. It's a very old-fashioned way of saying ankle. Okay, neck of the foot, sorry, coup de pieds. So you peel that foot and stretch it, and then bring it in and stretch. And like the plie, you've got that lovely squeezy, stretchy feeling going on. So we've done pliés, tendus, glissés, and fondus. And these can all be done to the front, to the side, and to the back. I would concentrate on the front two first, as you're a beginner, and then you can develop going to the back, because at the back it's a little bit trickier. You have to really keep those hip flexors stretched, and also really stretch into that leg, because sometimes what happens is when something's behind our body line, the leg bends and we don't realise it's bent because it's behind our body line, and our brain kind of forgets it's there really. I'm not quite sure why, but it kind of goes, oh, it's behind, I don't have to worry about it. But as dancers, we do. So I have to really stretch that, but lift here So you keep your hip flexors nice and long. So it's a little bit trickier. Get the front and sides comfortable first, then start doing the back, or derriere as they call it. So what else would we have in a class? We'd have rond de jambe à terre, which literally means round of the leg on the ground. So you're drawing a circle. I'm going to do it this way so you can see better. You go to the front and you go all the way around to the side, all the way around to the back, and then you pass through first. And you just repeat it. Okay? So that is what we call en dehors, which means outwards. Or you can do en dedans, which means inwards. If you speak French, it does help, because obviously en dedans means indoors or inside, yeah? So, and en dehors means outside. So it will help you, but you don't need to speak French to do ballet, okay? You just copy what the teacher shows you, okay? So those are rond de jambe, and they are designed to really work on your hip mobility, yeah? So really working on that hip, making sure it's nice and mobile and getting it. So you have to keep those hips nice and still as that's moving. In fact, while you're dancing, this part of the body kind of works really hard, and your upper body stays a little bit more relaxed. I would recommend as a beginner that when you're at the bar, you have a table or something here, or a chair at waist height that you can put your hand on to kind of hold yourself nice and sturdy. And when you're doing these exercises, have one hand on your hip. Don't worry about holding that arm out to the side or doing any movements with it, because you don't want to overcomplicate it. Just concentrate on getting those movements a little bit more familiar, okay? You then might move on to what we call adage or développés. So développé is where, similar to the fondue, you peel this foot. However, with a développé, your supporting leg is straight and really strong. So think really strong supporting leg, strong core. And this leg peels, you draw a line up the front of your shin, and then think of the knee staying back as the toe unfolds forward. And that way you're making good use of your turnout, and then you float the leg down nice and slowly. So you're making good use of your turnout, which gives you the mobility to actually lift your leg, okay? Again, none of that has to be high, yes? You can do it literally just off the floor, yeah? Get used to that, and that will really help you. Finally, I'm going to give you grand battement, okay? So again, all of these can be done to the front, to the side, and derrière, to the back, okay? So grand battement is taking your glissés a little bit further. You do a good swish, hold your core really strong, hold your leg, supporting leg strong, and you do a lovely whoosh and back. Think of throwing the leg up and then floating it down like a feather, up like a rocket, down like a feather. Swish, float and close. Swish, float and close. Yeah? So that's your grand battement. And it doesn't have to be that grand. You can go swish, float. Yeah, depending on your mobility, yes? If you're just starting, you might not be getting your leg off the floor at all. It might literally just be an inch off the floor. That is fine. You're still working your core, you're still working your thighs, you're still working all those muscles, you're still improving your balance, and hopefully enjoying yourself. Okay? So those are my tips for just a few basics to get under your belt before you start doing a ballet class. Okay? Have a fantastic Christmas, and if you're enjoying what I'm saying, do subscribe, do share with your friends, do click the like button as well, or make any comments. Let me know how you're getting on, because I'd love to see how you're getting on. If it's working for you, if you're like, I don't understand, can I have some help? I'm here to help. If you like this video, I know I've already talked about subscribing, liking and sharing, but if you want to dance with me, I do teach. So feel free. I've got a fantastic Christmas class going on at 10 a.m. on Christmas Eve. That's 10 a.m. GMT, and you're welcome to join. And also we have the bridgeballet.club, which you can join, and that means you can enjoy a class with me anytime you like. They're all recorded classes, so you can just join the club, and for the price of a cup of tea and a cake, you can enjoy ballet class every week, okay? The link will be in the bio for joining the online class if you want to join the live class with me. Hopefully see you there. Bye.